In 1935, the Blue Flame achieved a land speed record of over 900 kilometers an hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah, USA. But what very few people know is that back in 1931 or 1932, His Highness the Maharana of Vancouver invited Malcolm Campbell, the driver of the Blue Flame, to attempt that land speed record here. So where is? Well, here is the little Rann of Kutch, and at 5,000 square kilometers, it's one of the largest landforms in India that is absolutely flat and featureless. And that is why it's ideal proving ground for high-speed evaluations. But then for several months in a year, most of this land is underwater, and once it dries up, it's very challenging terrain for off-road vehicles. And that is why I have bought three of the best high-performance diesel SUVs out here. And those are the Mercedes ML320, the Audi Q7, and the BMW X5. It's easy to see why the Rann looks foreboding and menacing. There is after all little to stare at other than the sky and the dirt under that stretches into the limitless horizon. There are little vegetation and no inhabitants, so getting lost here is easy. Cross the Rann without a guide is not an option. On tarmac, each of these three performance SUVs starved, famine-hit refugees. And out here in the Rann, it's no. In fact, inside the Rann, there is little to inhibit them from truly stretching their legs to the max. No lanes, no traffic, and no riffraff whatsoever. Mercedes-Benz was the big three German car manufacturers to come down to India, and that has given them a very big advantage because they've thoroughly understood what Indian terrain has to offer, and it reflects in all of their cars. All their cars, including the ML class, have got fantastic suspension. They cater to any and every type of Indian terrain. Mercedes has also absorbed the vagrancies of the Indian market and has made an effort to introduce the kind of features that will appeal to an Indian buyer. The ML has after all been around in India for nearly 7 years and has gone through 3 generations, each getting even better than its predecessor. However, the improvements have always been either minor changes to the engine or transmission, and mostly until now. The current generation ML also utilizes the same 3.2-litre V6 diesel engine that is good for around 234 PS of max power and a hugely generous 510 Newton meters of max torque. Good enough to move mountains? If only there were any out here. There are 2 things I really like about the ML320. Is it has paddle shift gearbox, so you don't have to take your hand and you're completely in control of the car at all times, both on road or off it. The 7-speed 7G-tronic transmission is superbly compatible, giving the ML highly respectable dynamics. Gear shifts are smooth with no delay in transitions, and you can even hold any particular gear when off-roading, which ensures maximum usage of available torque. Not only is this the first time the ML class has such a feature, but it is the only SUV in this lot with paddle shifts. The second of this, of course, and which is very important when you're on the move, is that it's got Bluetooth connectivity. So you just hook up your cell phone, which has got Bluetooth, to the Bluetooth connection in the car, and then make all your calls through the car's sound system, which is absolutely fantastic. Any Mercedes-Benz vehicle is known for its plush ride and comfort. Unlike the older M-Class, whose ride quality bordered on the stiff, harsh and hurting. The new ML320 optionally offers an Airmatic package, which is a combination of air suspension and an adaptive damping system tuned to offer a choice between sporty or comfortable driving environments at the press of a button.
So why do I like the Mercedes suspension so much? Well, principally because no matter what terrain you put her through, and believe me, we've put her through some severe conditions today, she always feels secure and confident. She may not be the best handling SUV in this lot, but where ride quality is concerned, she certainly is the best. And of course, there's always the fact that she does feel the safest.
The new Mercedes cabin is also the simplest of the lot, and that is not entirely a bad thing. You have to realize that operating all of the dozen-odd features is a no-brainer, and while some may question the high price tag, isn't it better for us if everything in life was simple? I love how everything inside this cavernous SUV is just where it should be. It does not distract me from piloting this airship, though I would have loved to see a heads-up display. Mercedes have done a fantastic job with the M-Class and made it a far more competent SUV to be used amply both on or off-road. That said, I found the rear-mounted spare wheel a big hindrance and would have appreciated this SUV more if it allowed me to completely switch off traction control and be in charge of its dynamics. Nevertheless, it has all the essentials to iron out any creases Mother Nature throws up. In fact, all three cars got quite a workout. But as the day ended and we were headed back to base, disaster struck. Or should I say, stuck.
Now this is a classic example of veering just 1 degree off intended course. It's the difference between knowing the run and driving in the run. And as you can see, we now just ended up with the BMW X5 up to our axles in muck. It's going to be a hard time getting this car out of this mess. It's going to be very tough, and it's bloody hot.
Foolishly, we had assumed that at this time of the year, the little run would be dry, and so we did not carry any towing equipment. The ML, being the only one with a low ratio, was pressed into service to tow the X5 out. A rope was found. Producer and sailing champ Sandeep hooked up the two SUVs with some sailor knots, and then, too much faith in the rope or too little in the sticky gook letting the X5 go. So eventually we had to get a tractor with a proper tow chain. That was a lesson in just how close tolerances are when driving in such harsh terrain. And at the end of this ordeal, all I wanted was to get back to my air-conditioned room.